We start this morning just with a moment of bragging. I moved to Leonora in 1985 and was the first geologist to walk over King of the Hills. I did all the air core drilling, the RC, the diamond, took it through the feasibility, joint ventured it with Sons of Gwalia, and was the first mine geo there in the first pit back in '87. Nearly got ran over by a rather large truck at that time and decided that the pit environment was not for me. And I've been exploring ever since and successfully done this multiple times, both in Australia and in the Asia Pacific. And I've been with NEXUS 8 years now, and I think we're on the cusp of the next one. And I would look forward to being here next year and talking about it as a discovery rather than a pointing to a discovery. As Christy said, share price has had a good time in the last few months, but again, it's an overnight success, 8 years in the making, and that's certainly where we have been. And certainly the exploration and the success we've seen and the jumps in the share price have been linked more around geological success and the understanding of what we're exploring and what we're finding. And a lot of the early stage interest came into NEXUS from other geologists that rang me after seeing the drill core and what we were seeing at Wallbrook, and starting to say, well, we think you've cracked this one, Andy, so we're getting on board. And so we've seen a lot of that interest on that side of the market, if you like, rather than just the sort of the one-hit wonders, or you sort of get an initial drill hit and then where do you go next? So story's building, it's got a long way to go, and these are early days. An experienced board and management team, we've been there before, and we look forward to doing it again. We're looking for the large-scale gold deposits in WA, and we've also added a porphyry copper project in Victoria. As I said, I've got over 15 years' experience in porphyry copper exploration in the Asia Pacific, and we've been hunting for a good project with the right rocks for a number of years, and just in the last couple of years we've managed to bring that one into the fray as well. But today predominantly will be about the Wallbrook Project. When I first started with NEXUS, I started looking at WA-wide and saying, well, where would I like to be if I had a choice? NEXUS Minerals had roughly $6 million in the bank, and a bunch of sort of varying projects which we've managed to divest out of. But my main aim and my direction from the board was, find us a company maker. Where would you go? And at that point, I actually put a pin in the wall on Wallbrook after 6 months of looking. And at the time, I'd had relationships with multiple guys at Saracen. They'd worked for and with me over the years. And we got involved with the Pinnacles project out there with the aim to always getting our hands at some point on the Wallbrook project, which we now have. The Carosue Dam and particularly the Karari mine there, I'll reference a few times today. Again, it's where do you look for, for gold? You're looking for it in a multi-mine district with a huge gold endowment, 40-50 million ounces in that Laverton belt and down from Leonora as well. Carosue Dam, Karari, successfully mining 5 million ounces, looks fantastic, 10 years of mine life from today moving forward. So we spent a lot of time in the early days at Karari and at the underground there, literally putting together a sequence of what ultimately has produced the gold there. Why is it there? What are the rocks? What are the alteration? And ultimately the gold. So the tenure that Wallbrook is on there, there's barely a drill hole in any of it. So even though we're sitting between multiple multi-million ounce mines, not a single drill hole. And again, that's just a function of who has owned it over the years, held in perhaps, if you like, the wrong hands. Now we've got one 250 square kilometre package, and we're able to explore it meaningfully. And that's the package there. Again, it's a combination of 7-8 years of pulling it together, and now you can explore it meaningfully. So we're 30 or 35 k's north of Karari in the Carosue Dam operation of Northern Star. Fantastic geological structural setting. If you want to see where all the gold is in Karari and down at Northern Star's operation there, it's all in these light yellow coloured rocks. So you need to be in the light yellow rocks, and you need to have the intrusions punching up underneath them. The Wallbrook region has all of that. We're in this elliptical zone of those light coloured rocks, and we've got the high-level intrusives that poke up as well. So it's a multi-million ounce district. We're looking for these intrusives, with the intruded host rocks, which ultimately host the gold. Anybody, if you'd like to come to our booth afterwards, myself, the exploration team are there, and we can sort of wade our way through the numbers and why it all is as good as it is. But really, the last line there, we've got sort of 1.6k of strike here now, which we're just starting to announce, and this is what's starting to get the interest. But it's what's noted in red there. These are the same host rocks that host the Karari gold mine. And that's the moment in time, I suppose, when we first started getting that sort of kick in the share price where everybody could sort of look and go, well, all right, you've drilled a couple of diamond holes, you're getting some interesting results, they're fantastic. Anybody excited with 3 metres at 11, within 9s at 4.5s. But for us, it was all about that being the final stage of why is the gold there. So we had to be hitting the right rocks, we had to be hitting the right alteration products, and then ultimately we're seeing the gold. So fantastic intercepts there. It's comfortably from surface. We're finding it mirroring what we saw down at Karari, where we have sort of gram and a half dirt in the top 80, 100 metres, 100 to sort of 200 to 250. You end up in the sort of 2 to 3 gram dirt. And once you get below 300 metres, it's well and truly in excess of 5 grams. So you've got a project that's developing, emerging, where you're getting a good oxide number, which is easily mined at these sorts of grades. We know the recoveries are good up here. There's a mine that was mined in the 90s, only 200 metres to the south, and they got 98 and 99% recoveries. They're all on granted mining tenements, so we don't have to worry about going through that process. It's a 3 to 6 month process, putting in a mine plan, and you can go. Too early stage yet for that. At the moment, it's very, very early, and it's in exploration. We've just completed just on 5,477 metres to be exact of RC drilling. So obviously results will come a couple of months later and tell us all about those results there. Again, what we saw in the drill holes was what we wanted to see, no surprises. And we're also completing a very deep diamond hole there, diamond hole 5, which is currently underway. It's a co-funded hole with the government puts 50% into your deep diamond and projects of technical merit, and so that one's one of their deeper co-funded holes. And what we're essentially doing at this point is what I sort of call tagging the deposit and what does it look like. So we can always come back and infill later, but you've really got to have the courage to drill deep, drill the diamond work early, and if you genuinely believe that it's there and you're not going to have those surprises, rather than creeping up on it, we're going in large, and we want to see what sort of size this thing could be, and we'll infill later. So this was what got the market initially interested, was I talk about the right rocks. Down at Karari, you have those red rocks that you can see there. You don't find them everywhere. If you're 50 or 100 metres away from the ore body, you don't get the red rocks anymore. So you have to be in a corridor of the red rocks, and then you have to have the alteration products that come with those intrusives. So when we intersected this was when we started to get this the light bulb moment of, okay, we really are onto a Karari-style deposit. The Templar prospect butts right up against Crusader, so it's all in one line. It simply had a separate name when we first started, and we certainly weren't aware at that time that they were going to grow and morph into 1.6 kilometre strike distance. And I'll go further into the regional work in a minute, but there's still a long way to go heading north along this corridor. So those are the two mines you can see there, the Wallbrook and Poultry mines. They're both currently being operated and mined by Northern Star. So it's very bizarre sometimes when you're out here in 7 or 8 kilometres where there's not a single drill hole, and you're listening to the beeping of trucks in operating gold mines right next door to you. So the Templar drill results, and this is where I hope in a year's time I can remove the points to a significant new discovery and just call it what we obviously believe it is today. We're intersecting broad, high-grade gold, and we've got our decent strike length. And it's the 2 diamond holes that we drilled, recently completed at Templar, which again has just had that evolving story of strike extent, grade, and the right rocks. So the diamond hole 3 intersected at just under 5 metres at just under 6 grams, over that 18 metres at 2.4. But again, it was all about the rocks and the alteration that we saw, more importantly, I suppose, than the numbers themselves. And the numbers are fantastic. Red, there I state again, these are the same host rocks. They're the same as what we're seeing at Karari, and that's certainly what we've been hunting. So when we start to look at the scale of this thing, this is the northern half of Templar, of which there's sort of 4 of these. And it shows there that is the size when you drop Karari over the top of it. So very interested in the scale, and this is what we talked about before, very hard to sometimes get a feel for it. Diamond hole 4 there, which is the deeper hole where we've got over 200 metres of this alteration. That's your BHP Brookvale Tower building. So if we lay all our core showing the alteration product and these 4 intrusive packages, it's roughly the same height as that. So it's significant in scale, both in plan and in sectional view. And this is really where, again, we can get to the nitty-gritty of it, but the Carosue Dam and the Karari gold mine has 4 stages of alteration which have brought all the gold. And so that's what we knew before we started. Then when you look at our hole 3, which we've completed there at Templar, there's the grade and there's our 4 zones. Deeper hole 4, which I just showed you compared to the Brookvale Tower, we're seeing that same. You can see the red rocks there, you can see the alteration styles, they're numbered the same as Karari, and that's certainly what we're seeing here. So we're waiting on the results for the Diamond Hole 4, they're still a while away, but this is certainly what's gaining interest and gaining attention, is that we're in the right rocks, we're in the right alteration zones. Branches immediately to the north, we drilled there last year, got some great numbers. But again, it's what it's starting to look like when you look at it in comparison with Templar, with Crusader. We've got regional coverage of our gravity, and we've also got magnetics coverage as well. And really, when you add the 2 together, you end up with gravity low, magnetic low, equals a mineralising fluid flow. So we've got plenty of those red dots there. We're starting to see other areas popping up as well as we do more and more of the ground mag work. Very old techniques. I mean, these are the same techniques we've been using 35 years. We've tried multiple other ones over the years, and we still seem to be bouncing back to the same techniques, and they're still finding gold mines today. So that's the Wallbrook Gold Project. We've got plenty of targets there in line. We've got plenty of news flow moving forward, and we're saying we're in the right rocks. We'll call it our corridor of riches. Northern Star are happy to call theirs a corridor of riches, 4 million ounces and growing. And we intend to be doing the same, and certainly all of our efforts are in this Wallbrook project at the moment. The Bethanga porphyry copper over east, I will touch on it because it is part of our exploration coverage at the moment. I went over and whacked some rocks there a few years ago, liked what I saw, and decided, look, it's in the same host rocks as the world-class Cadia and the New South Wales deposits. Very little work done, early stage project. And we're undertaking a feasibility, an assessment of the rocks there at the moment, and we're certainly liking what we're seeing, and they're heading in the right direction for us. So very interesting rocks, very interesting work. We've completed the soil sampling, we've completed the geology, nearly completed reprocessing the aeromag. We'll do some ground magnetics, and then we'll work out whether we're going to drill some holes over here or not. But it certainly looks very, very interesting on the ground to me. Planned program, again, won't go into details, but again, we've got a lot of stakeholders, shareholders that are starting to get very vested in. You've got a lot going on. You've got rigs moving from centre to centre, project to project area. We're going to have, between now and Christmas, over 30,000 metres of RC drilling. We're going to have 2 RCs and a diamond drill rig going the whole time. So there's going to be plenty of news flow. We've only taken it through to sort of Christmas and into New Year. At the moment, our exploration budget has been approved through to Christmas, which covers what we're talking about here. But we've already told the drillers they can have a couple of weeks off at Christmas, and we're back into it next year. So we aim to keep this pushing forward and seeing what it can become. So in summary, highly prospective land holding, actively exploring in multi-million ounce territories, and we're certainly using these multiple different disciplines, and it's providing with a good success at the moment. Bethanga, interesting, assessments underway, and we'll know more about that one in the new year. So come back to the right rocks, professional experienced management team, and we're well funded with some good cash on hand, and we're actively out there spending it. So thanks very much.